I thought about wearing my Michigan shirt today for these guys, but we're not having a great season.
Why did you even bring it up?
I know. All right.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Going Analog podcast, in which a handful of board gamers bring a different game and topic to discuss. I'm your host, Christina, and you should be listening to this episode right after a huge reveal by indie publisher Bitewing Games about a brand spanking new big box game design from the good doctor himself, Reiner Knizia, famous designer of modern art, Lost Cities, Raw, Tigris and Euphrates, Quest for El Dorado. I could keep going on, but now we're going on to an incredibly fun new game, Silos, with striking retro art from the Quantai Moria. This area control game is the whole package, and we were lucky enough to play it early. So to discuss the launch of this new Kickstarter, I have Nick Murray and Kyle Spackman, founders of Bitewing Games, joining me today. Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm very excited to talk about this because we've been sitting on it, being very quiet. We played this game, I don't know, a few weeks ago now. And then we were excited to talk about it with you because the reveal was this week when this podcast comes out too. Shu's hanging out here today. Hi, Shu.
Hello. And my Michigan comment from earlier is because these guys are Ohio State guys, and we're bitter college football rivals.
But they can't brag right now anyway from the latest.
We didn't win. We can't brag.
Yeah, we're recording this the day after they had a heartbreaking loss to Oregon. We were watching that game. And then I was like quite surprised at the ending and what your quarterback did at the very end there. But Michigan's having a terrible season this year too. So it's just putting me in this awkward position to not be able to talk too much trash.
It's okay. I mean, this is not a sports ball podcast anyway.
Yeah,
so we can just leave this behind. We're going to talk board games.
It's in the past.
So, Nick and Kyle, we are definitely going to talk about Silos. I'm very excited to talk about it a lot. But what you also brought a topic for us today. What is your topic going to be later?
Our topic, oh man, this is the part where I blank out completely. It's lines, trilogies, and brands.
Yes, I didn't even have to cue you. You got it.
Took me a second. Yes, but kind of just about different lines and brands in the hobby and how we feel about that, and maybe our favorite and those kinds of things.
Because Bitewing may have some stuff coming down the line with that also, maybe. And so, Shu, what's our topic today?
So our topic is Silos is a great area control game, and we do have some examples in that genre of games like we love. It's not even a favorite of yours, Christina, but there are a few that you love as well. So we thought about let's talk more about Silos in that genre and other examples of area control games that we love.
Yes. And then when I started looking through games that I do like that are area control, I was like, oh, actually, there's a good number of them. Maybe I am an area control person. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think I was surprised that you said that once. I'm like, I think you do like them. You have a lot that you like.
We do want to start off with our gaming icebreaker, in which we highlight a game we've played recently or just want to discuss. So Shu is going to kick us off with our game that we want to talk about.
Sure. Our game is Magic Maze Tower. It's a standalone game. Speaking of franchises and lines and series of games, the Magic Mind series.
Magic Mind is our sponsor. Magic Maze is this game.
The magic, that was
a lot of magic going around.
Yeah, that was unintentional. The Magic Maze series. And actually, literally right before this recording, when I was looking at the instructions, I'm like, looking at the back and stuff, like, there are a lot of Magic Maze games that I wasn't even aware of. There's Magic Maze Maximum Security, the original game, Hidden Rolls, this other expansion I can't read the name of.
Kids one, too.
Kids one, Magic Maze on Mars. And I didn't have any idea all these existed. But for context, the original Magic Maze game is it plays up to 8 players. And then everyone at the table is controlling the same 4 characters. There's a wizard, there's a fighter, there's an elf, there's a dwarf. And these are characters that are in a mall. And a magic mall. Yeah. And then as you play, the basic concept is every player has one direction or one maybe special type of movement that they can do. For example, maybe I can only move characters north. Maybe Nick can only move characters east. And Kyle can do west, but he can also use escalators. And Christina's doing whatever I didn't say, south. So we all have one cardinal direction that we could push characters in. And then when we start the game, you have a limited amount of map that you see. And then we're all silently moving the characters, but I can only touch, like, for example, the fighter, and I can only move the fighter north. And so when he hits a wall or he needs to turn direction, I need somebody else to kind of take over. So we're silently communicating to each other. How do we get these characters to their objectives? First, they have to find all their weapons in this wall. Then they have to exit them all before security catches up to them. It's really, really silly. It's probably the closest thing I could describe to like a meeting of a strategy game plus a pure party game. It's hilarious. It's really funny. There's this giant marker that you can use to kind of just pound, almost like a gavel. Like you kind of like pound this in front of another player to be like, Kyle, I need you to do something, but I can't tell him. You're not allowed to communicate. And then Kyle might be looking over the board like, okay, Kyle can only move characters east, but what is he wanting me to do? And we're all trying to get him to a specific doorway so that he can reveal another tile and all this stuff. So it's a really fun, really awesome cooperative game that's just really frantic. And then meanwhile, there's a sand timer. It's all in real time. You have to do all of this before the time runs out. There's special spots that flip that sand timer. But again, you can't tell anybody that you have to do this. Like,
very frantic.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to get this character over to the flippy marker to flip the sand timer because we're running right out of time. But the three of you might not realize that's my intention. So we're all silently, just all frantically trying to move things around the table together. Really fun. So have you two played Magic Maze?
I haven't played any of these Magic games. Are they all cooperative?
I believe so. Well, like I said, I just discovered there's a bunch more that I was not aware of.
We played the base game, and then I think we bought an expansion at some point, and then this new one, Magic Maze Towers, but a new version that's more of like a puzzle-solving cooperative game instead that takes the timed element out of it, which is something I think people were asking for, I guess. People really don't like real-time games sometimes, you know?
This is the quote-unquote stress-free version. Mm-hmm. So it's a standalone game. Although it does come with one character and a couple of tiles they could bring into the mainline original Magic Maze game, which is cool. So if you want to like, it's like a mini expansion for the original Magic Maze. But basically, if you're watching this on YouTube, this game comes with a ton of these maps, and they all look like this. And so what you could do is you're controlling similarly the same characters, but again, I can only move, for example, if I'm assigned north, I can only move characters north. And so there are rules about how they can move. The book will show you how to place the puzzles, and they create all these different scenarios. And it's like, okay, get from A to B, or exit this room, or maybe there's lava now, or maybe there's these things that kind of shut down on you. So all these different rooms will have different powers or different factors that come up that kind of challenge you. And then you work together with your group to be like, okay, how do I, again, silently, but now without the time pressure, without the sand timer, how do we get characters from one end to another? So is
it still silent? I don't know.
Yeah, because you can't really talk. Like you're just supposed to like, okay, I do this, you do this, and then I think it is, right? Or were we playing it?
There's like a whole series, like what I like about it too is like there's a series of smaller maps, and then when you're done with that series, you flip them all and make a super like uber boss map too that you solve.
Yeah, you do kind of in chapters and sections. So yeah, it's just it comes with a bunch of different scenarios. They're all double-sided, and then they show all these little maps will show you like the starting positions of the characters, what the movement restrictions are. They might introduce new elements, like in this one I'm showing here on video. There's like ladders that can maybe connect to each other, and it's always trying to figure out how do I get characters from one place to another. And then like in this one here, there are spike traps that you must avoid and such. So it's really interesting. But I will say, I think this is probably suited somewhere between the kids version and the original version. Like the kids version I haven't played, it's got to be completely stress-free. This one, the original one, is very stressful, but in a really funny way. This sits somewhere in between, and it feels like, I liken it to like when video games have like a puzzle mode of like, okay, they present the scenario, you just solve in X many steps how to finish this level or whatever. You know? And then, but I do miss the timed stress element. That's my favorite
He
part.
wants to be stressed.
I want to be stressed. Yeah. I want to be stressed. I want to have that timed element. So I sort of missed that. But it was also like Christina and I played some of this where, okay, we have a few seconds or a couple of minutes. Let's just play a level or two. And then we'll just like sit there and just like, I move a thing, she moves a thing, I move a couple of things, and then we complete the puzzle. And it's very satisfactory to like be able to solve these puzzles. And there's a ton of them in this box.
They're pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is also the kind of game where I don't know if it matters that much if you're playing with other people in this game because
definitely you could just play this on your own and solo it. So,
all right, that's Magic Maze Tower.
What about
That's from Casper Lap as well?
Yeah, same designer, Casper Lab.
Yeah.
And then so this one's published by Sit Down, and then same franchise, same series.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't tried it either, but it's been on my bucket list. Just probably started with the original Magic Maze, right?
Yeah.
And Casper Lap is a designer that we've want to work with. I've been in touch with him recently, and hopefully we find something that's a good fit from him eventually. Because I feel like he makes really unique stuff. You know, Magic Maze being probably one of his standout designs. So I think I'm with you. I think I would prefer the timed stressful elements because a little bit of chaos I think is fun, especially when it's cooperative. You know, it's like, yeah, you win or lose together, and it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, lots of laughs playing the original Magic Maze.
everybody gets frustrated, and then people get frustrated at you, no matter how good you think you are. So, what about Nick and Kyle? What game do you have for us today?
Ooh, did you get a chance to play this finally this weekend?
I did
Kyle?
get a chance. I got it, and I've been busy doing some work stuff and getting ready for a Kickstarter, but I did get a chance to play with my wife and I. So we played Moonrollers is the game that we played by Robert Hovakimian and Ivy Studios.
Oh, that's a very sharp-looking box.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's very
compact.
sleek. My wife loved the look of the art, and like the cards are almost holographic Charizards, the best way I can describe what the cards look like. They just have like a very shiny look to them, so very, very awesome.
Yeah, it's a good little push your luck filler game. It says it's for 2 to 5 players, 30 to 45 minutes. People who are fans of Ivy Studios or one of their biggest hits, Moonrakers, might recognize the shared title there of Moonrollers, but one thing to note is that it shares the theme and the universe, but they really don't have very much in common at all. Moonrakers is a negotiation game where you're going on these missions together and helping each other out, and you're building this deck, things like that. Moonrollers is a push your luck dice game, and so there's not a whole lot of theme to it, to be honest. You know, it borrows a lot of the art assets, which are super nice, and the cards and art are very nice production. But you're basically recruiting these crew members in the form of cards to your personal tableau. You're working on completing these objectives, and if you complete all the objectives on the card, then you claim the card, and it also scores out for everybody who helped work on that card. But in a lot of ways, it reminds me of a Reiner Knizia game called Age of War, also known as Risk Express, which this one came out decades ago at this point. But they have a lot in common. But what's funny is Age of War or Risk Express is one of, I've played a lot of Knizia games at this point. I'm probably approaching 200. And it's one of my least favorite Knizia games. Because I feel like it hasn't aged well compared to other Knizia dice games. And basically, you're chucking dice and you're working on one requirement on a card at a time. And if you complete all the requirements, then you claim the card, you claim this castle, and other people can steal it from you. And there's a lot of stealing back and forth, but there's also a lot of like hopelessness as you keep trying to complete this card, and the rolls just get worse and worse, and you bleed dice as you go, and it's like, this is getting hopeless. Yeah, it was a rough time playing Age of War. What's interesting is the designer of Moonrollers is Robert Hovakimian, and he is somebody who we at Bitewing Games have actually worked with on a couple other games, Bebop and Shuffle and Swing, which are releasing soon. And so Moonrollers is actually his first published design, but he has a lot more on the way from us and other publishers. Okay. And What's interesting is he was not aware, or he did not know the rules or anything like that to Age of War, but he ended up designing a game that's very similar to it, but it addresses like all of my complaints about Age of War. And I don't feel too bad being mean about Age of War because Reiner has over 800 published games at this point.
He's okay.
We've made a bunch of them, and so
He'll be okay.
Not every game is for everyone, and so
he's doing fine for himself.
What's interesting,
yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting is Moonrollers. It feels like it's a modern update to that game, although it's not. Not directly. And so what you do is you start with 5 dice, and you roll all 5 dice, and you get 4 different suits or symbols of results that you can get, plus a wild, plus another symbol that's like take an extra die for your next roll. So you can actually end up rolling more and more dice with each roll, and you're trying to complete different objectives on a single card. And if you complete an objective, great, it's going to score you points. If you finish the whole card, even better, because you claim the card and it gives you an ability for the rest of the game. But you can choose to stop at some point before you bust and just kind of leave your completed requirements out there, and they'll score you points if somebody else finishes the card. So then you get a little bit of shared incentives where it's like, I'll finish these 2 requirements, and now it's too risky for me to keep going. I'm going to stop. And the next person can be like, well, I want to claim that card that you made easier for me to claim because whoever finishes it takes it. And so then they work on the last 2 requirements maybe, and they claim the card, and then it scores out for everybody who helped contribute to that card. But the catch is, if at any point you roll dice and you can't assign them to your current requirements, then you bust.
Okay.
And all of the requirements that you completed during this turn are erased.
Oh.
And so I may have completed like 7 points worth of requirements, but if I keep going, then those are just erased and I'm not going to score those out. And so there's this temptation to finish the card so you claim it and score more points for yourself. But there's also the risk of maybe I should stop early so I don't lose these points that I've already earned for myself. And that's kind of the basic premise of Moonrollers. What did you feel about it, Kyle?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was intriguing because I felt like, I did 70% of the work on this card, but you get it. But then on their turn, they might do the same. So it's like you're always kind of like helping the other players out, but in a very selfish way. And there's some risk tokens, and basically whoever has the most of these risk tokens doesn't score any of them. And that's maybe my favorite part of the game, is aside from just the assigning dice, is kind of psychoanalyzing these other players to say how many risk tokens, that's kind of hidden information. How many risk tokens have you taken? Do you have more than me? Because if so, I'm safe. But maybe I need to stop taking them because I'm gonna have the most, and I'm gonna bust and not score any of them. So there's the luck of the dice, but there's enough of a meaningful decision or things that you can do to manipulate things that I think it ends up being I thought a really solid, fun game.
It did sound a little familiar, like Moonrakers, that part you were talking about where you like do temporarily have to work together, but really you're out there for yourself, right? So there's that sort of feeling of it.
Yeah, I think that probably helped inspire some of the game as well. I think the core requirement, if I remember Robert talking about it, is like there needs to be requirements that multiple players can work on for each individual card.
Okay.
And that's split up into each person's turn. But one thing that I love about it is how the turns can really fluctuate. Like you start with 5 dice, and sometimes you finish one requirement and you're like, I'm done. I'm going to bust if I keep going. And it's a very quick, like maybe 15 or 20 second turn. But then other times you roll your 5 dice initially, and maybe 3 or 4 of them say, you get another die if you keep rolling. And so you pull those from the central pool, and suddenly you've got a fistful of like 8 dice, and you're rolling again. And maybe you assign just one of those out. Maybe you can assign more, but if you keep some back, there's a chance of you rolling more bonus dice for yourself. Yeah. So it can like really balloon into this huge turn at times, which is fun. There is a hard stop where if you complete the card, then your turn's done. But it's cool to see the ebb and flow of the game in that sense. And you can definitely bust a few times and still make a good comeback in the end with points. I've seen it be quite close between people who never bust and people who bust, but make a good comeback and going for maybe hazard tokens and barely staying under the threshold of too many hazards and that kind of thing. So it's a good little filler dice game. Yeah. I'm impressed with everything Robert has designed and shown us and put out with other publishers, and that's why we keep coming back to him, is because he makes stuff that is intriguing to me and unique, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll get in on the early stages of this designer's game, so I'll have to try that one out.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. We've been into Push Your Luck games for sure, a lot of them. Today, we want to talk about your game first. We're going to talk about our favorite area control games, and we actually just sent some quotes to you about how Silos is probably one of our favorite area control games, I think.
Yeah, so...
Like, not even, like, lying or being paid for this. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is not buttering our guests up. And as I mentioned, like, the last thing I want to do is butter up some Ohio State people.
Some Buckeyes. Buttered Buckeyes.
But so as we're scheduling you for this podcast, you mentioned, hey, we have a secret game coming out. We have this embargo. Can we send it to you to check out? And then we're like, sure. And then just that weekend, we were about to we received it. We're like, I emailed you two guys. I'm like, we're actually going to a content creator weekend kind of getaway. And then we were like, can we bring it? The risk is more people will see it, and it's good. We just have to make sure that everyone follows the embargo. So we got to play it with a few people, and then it was an instant hit. Everyone instantly was like, that was a lot of fun. And they were just surprised as they played. They were like, what is this game? And we're like, I put a sticky note on top of the box. And like, and here's the embargo date. If you want to talk about this game or anything, please talk to me so that at least I could kind of make sure that they're talking to you two guys and all of that's under control. I didn't want to be responsible for any leaks, but
still okay so far as of today.
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah.
So real quick, actually, you two are here. Yeah. Do you want to
Yes.
tell the audience real quick what Silos is about?
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. So Silos is a re-implementation. I don't know if you guys have played or know of Municipium.
Oh, no, I didn't even know this was a remake.
Yep, so it's a remake of a game. So Municipium is an older game. I don't know what year it was made. You may know, Nick.
Oh, it's like 2012, maybe about 10 or so years old.
It feels like it's 1980 is what I was getting at. Phenomenal game, and the gameplay really hasn't changed very minorly, and there's an expansion, but like the base gameplay is almost exactly the same with a little tweak. But the game's just phenomenal, but the theme, which isn't my favorite, it's kind of like Roman senators, basically, a very beige look to it, which some people like. I don't. We were like, hey, let's revamp the game, do an expansion, and get beautiful new artwork from Quanchai Moria.
Art is amazing.
The art is, I love it, and I love so in the game, what you are is you're aliens. You're coming to this old 80s town, and you're basically brainwashing people, and you're abducting humans, and even better, cows. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get these power tokens, these emblems. To do so, you have to collect 4 different types of humans, or cows, because cows are better than humans.
Or cows.
And so the UFO will move around the board, and as it does it, whoever has majority at any of these 7 locations will gain the cow, or second place majority gets the human. So you're really trying to have area majority at each of these locations. Because if you do, you'll earn some humans, which will get you these emblems, which will win you the game. You can also have like brainwashing events where if there's 3 humans in a location and there's ways to get humans from the bag onto the board, whoever has area majority there also gets some of these humans. And then the third tier of the area majority is each location has a special power that gets activated, and when it does, whoever has majority gets the benefits of that activated power. So the game's all about area majority and being in the right spot at the right time, because the UFO is moving around the board and you have to kind of predict where it's going to be. You also have brainwashing events where you're going to get humans from the bag and place them out on the board, and once 3 humans are at a location, again, the person with the area majority earns some of those humans. And so I guess the last thing, there's the kind of 3 tiers to the area majority. The last one is each of those 7 locations has a special ability, and whoever has area majority gets to benefit from that ability when certain cards are played to activate these powers. So the game's all about area majority and trying to be in the right spot at the right time, because you want majority everywhere, but if you try to do that, you're going to have area majority nowhere and completely get hosed. So you have to pick your battles and say, this is where I'm going to be, and I have to make sure the UFO gets there at the right time by kind of manipulating how the cards come out. So that's kind of the game in a nutshell.
Yeah, so this is kind of getting into our topic a little bit about other great area control games. My favorite definitive one was El Grande. I don't know if
that was my answer.
I think it was pretty much going to be my answer also. But
so El Grande is it's a classic. They recently redid it and then just made it more presentable. It was just a really old, talk about beige. I remember breaking it out at a game party once, and then everyone who I was like trying to get to play that game, the original one, they're just looking at this like, what is this? It was visible, like you could tell that they were immediately turned off. They liked it in the end because it's a fantastic game. It got an update, a visual update recently. This Silos very much reminds me of El Grande because it's all, okay, should I put some people here and then activate it right now? So because I currently have majority and it'll give you points or powers or things like that. And it's about maybe you're scattering people and you might move people, force them out of certain areas. But this is very, very streamlined. I felt like you could play this shorter, faster than you can a typical game of El Grande. And El Grande is not even that long, but this just moves really fast. There's a system where every player has 3 cards that they could do for a one-time, very powerful power. But once you use that card, that's it for the rest of the game. You don't get that power back. And then there's a deck of cards that all have additional powers, and these are things that they're going to move the UFO, or they're going to let you just move people around and all these things. And then when you draw a card, what's interesting is you leave that card out, and there's spots for these cards around the board, so you literally can card count. You can see like,
makes it really easy.
Yeah, there are 4 more of these, whatever category cards, or there's only 1 of these, and we just drew it. So you're going to go through the deck, and you can kind of card count and know, all right, what powers are coming up, or what am I gambling on? I'm like, okay, there's only 1 of 2 possibilities left in the deck. I'm going to take a chance because I really need one of them. So there's another small layer on top of all of this. And then with all of this is a really cute theme because it's like the 1980s UFO abductions. In the rule book, I don't know if this is going to end up in the final rule book, but you make a joke about how the aliens came to find the most intelligent life, and that was cows. But then the cows are problematic. I forgot what it was, but it's like they decided to go after humans as well.
They're too peaceful.
Yeah. The cows are too peaceful. So they're like, let's go after the humans as well. So it's just a really cute theme. It's really fun. The art's fantastic. And then even like the little meeple pieces, like when I was looking at them, they're kind of screen printed little pieces of like humans, like farmers, or I forgot the other ones.
Different 80s humans.
Different 80s humans. But then on the back side of them, you see 3 little aliens kind of stacked up one on top of each other. They're wearing the human skin kind of disguise. So they're trying to blend in and then infiltrate this little small town. So just kind of everything just came together really well.
And you put hats on them.
Oh, yeah. And you put little hats on them because they could get a degree and put on a graduation cap. Or they could get the cowboy hat, which gives them a little bit more influence in their respective areas. But yeah, everyone at the table thought it was a fantastic game. And then so we're like, this is like, we've only played it that one time because we had to pass our copy along. But I'm like, just after one play, this might be my favorite all-time area control game. It was just that good. It makes such a great first impression.
That's super cool to hear. Yeah, I mentioned I've played almost 200 Knizia games now, and there's a reason for that besides just being a Knizia fan. But after the success of Zoo Vadis and seeing like, okay, how we found this hidden gem in Quo Vadis, which was published in 1992, this negotiation game that the industry had pretty much forgotten about by the 2020s, and giving it back to Reiner and telling him like, hey, this feels like a game that could succeed in today's market, but let's try to update it and spruce it up and like make it more exciting and interesting for the modern audience. And so that's basically we've given this old Municipium game the Zoo Vadis treatment with Reiner again, and because this was one of the games that stood out to me as one of his best hidden gems out of all the ones that I've tried. And it's because it is, like you guys say, it's so interesting and unique and refreshing. And I agree, El Grande is one of my favorite games, and it still is. And Silos feels like it flips El Grande on its head, where the cards in El Grande, they come out and people bid for the card actions, right? And you want the best one to help you in the current situation. Whereas with Silos, the cards are like a slot machine where you're able to move around a lot more frequently, and it's more dynamic. You're repositioning yourself constantly on the board, but you're chasing these 3 different majority benefits, and you're trying to figure out which one is going to pop off next. And being able to see what's come out of the deck and what's still in the deck and what are the probabilities of what comes out next makes it exciting of like, I think this is going to happen next. I'm going to set myself up for it and hope it works out. And it's disappointing when it doesn't, but there's those highs and lows, right? Of like when it does work out and you're like, yes, just as I had planned. And and so and like what Kyle said, the old Roman theme it just isn't as appealing to as wide of an audience today. And we still get people who complain like, oh, I prefer the old Roman theme, and like that's great if you're into that, but people, it's just so far apart and distant from what we as a modern, in the 2020s are familiar with and are receptive to and stuff. But I feel like alien abductions and that sci-fi culture is very much ingrained into our entertainment and into our knowledge and into our mythology and culture and stuff. And so just thinking like it used to be a prefect that roamed around and people were trying to earn these family members to gain power. And in my brain, it's almost like a UFO is going around and scooping up these humans. And it felt like a natural fit to just change the theme to that and largely keep the essence of the game still intact. It's just a much more sinister and kind of, kooky theme now than it used to be. And then just having Quanche just go buck wild on make us really bad alien disguises, And so you see an alien dressed as like a fire hydrant and another one as a baby and one as like a teacher. And it's just, it's a really funny game. And I think this new theme, plays into the chaos and the dynamism of the area majorities really well. So I'm glad it came through for you guys. It's
for sure. Just the Quanchai art was very much retro, but also weird and crazy at the same time, which is solely appealing to me. And then even with this sort of chaos that you get when you play a 4-player version of it, where all this oh no, this didn't happen for me, but I was planning on it. There's still so many ways to strategize. I by no means got even close to winning because I have to learn this game better. But I did manage to pull off in my last turn a really cool combo that scored me way more points than I had before. And I was like, oh man, if I had seen that earlier, that would have been so clutch, and just the possibilities there were really exciting. So
yeah. Who won that game?
Oh, was it Shu right here?
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Totally forgot.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about the game too is, so in El Grande, you're playing for points, right? And then it's just who has the most points at the end of the game. Typical sort of Euro style game. But in this one, what you're doing is when you capture these humans, you turn in 4 different ones for what was the marker called that you're trying to gain?
A societal power emblem. It just represents you gaining power in society by influencing or brainwashing or abducting or controlling these different types
Being
of
a good
humans.
alien.
Yeah. So when you turn in 4 different humans, or a cow is a wild in these cases, to get substitute for any color human that you want to put in, and the different colors represent different professions. But then when you get 5 of those emblems, you win the game. So there's also this kind of build up in terms of the game cadence that made it just build up and get more and more exciting. So we played with Benita, Ichor, and then also Russ from for shits and giggles. And then the 3 of us were pretty close. How Christina was.
I got a bunch of emblems at the end. Okay.
Yeah, Christina was lagging a little behind, but it was all super close. Where I was just I was just a little bit ahead of them, but then they caught up, and it was just oh my god, we're all at 4 now. Who's going to get the 5th one? And the game ends when someone grabs that 5th one. So it also builds to an exciting climax. So unlike a lot of area control games, maybe similar ones, that was just a lot of fun just to kind of see it's who's going to get there? Who's going to get there? And you're not really sure. And when I finally, my last play felt so rewarding because when I saw what happened, I saw what I had available to me. And I knew what alien or what humans I needed. I'm like, oh, the board is exactly where I want it to be. When it's my turn, I'm going to get this. And then, so you have these kind of really high moments like that too, building up to the victory. So
my lesson that I learned was I overinvested in education, which is probably true for real life also. It's very expensive. Too many people in the university trying to get them to graduate, and it wasn't worth it. So,
oh man, I've had some games where it's just been brutal. Like somebody goes hard on getting the graduation caps, which gives them ×2 influence if they have one of those, and then just dealing with those aliens as they spread out across the map, and it's like, man, I need 2 of my figures here just to compete with one of yours, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
So no, it's a good strategy. Sometimes it works, and sometimes if the game goes quickly enough, then maybe it's not enough time to do it. But I do like that it's a racing element where you get to the end and it's like, I just need these 2 colors, and other people are like, how do I keep him from getting these 2 colors?
There was a lot of that. Yeah.
A lot of that good tension, I think, with that sort of end game trigger. So we really like that.
Yeah. So that's Silos. By the time you're listening to this or watching this,
will be out.
Look for it on Kickstarter.
Yep. What about some other besides El Grande area control games that we like?
One of my very favorite games is Ethnos as an area majority game. It's a little lighter. It's one of my very favorite games. A little different in that in Silos or El Grande, you can do more movement. And that's one thing I wish Ethnos had, I think, is some way to like manipulate and like the areas matter more, moving side to side. But all that being said, I love the game. I think it's like such a very simple area majority game. It's like area majority and drafting, period. That's the game. And I just love it. I think it's just such a fun, I don't want to call it brainless because it's not brainless, but it's just like a fun, quick, you're drawing cards, you're laying cards, you're just trying to get majority here and you're kind of fighting. You're like, stop going where I'm going.
Yeah. And that one has the whole, the cards that you're drafting are different monster types, and then they all will offer different powers as well. So it's a really good one.
Yeah, I was curious about the reskin Arceus Society that came out last year or something. We still haven't played it, but some people who are big Ethnos fans are like, they like some of the things that they changed about it, but they still really like Ethnos. So I think it's still a classic.
Yeah, that one's pretty polarizing. It does keep my favorite part of both games, which is the fact that when you play down a set of cards, the rest of the cards in your hand go out to the market for other people to pick from, like vultures. And so there's this tension of like, do I keep drawing to get just a slightly bigger set? But if I keep drawing from the deck, I might not be getting what I want. So I'm just feeding other people, letting them, pick cards easier later on. And so you still have that same tension, but it's not so much an area majority game in Arceus Society. It's a track advancement game.
Yes.
So, but still, I think they're both still fun. But if you want the area majority, then Ethnos is the way to go.
What about a game for you, Nick?
Oh, have you talked about or played Galactic Renaissance at all?
Yes.
Yeah, we covered this recently.
Just very recently.
On the show.
Yeah.
I can jump back to Inish then if we want
to. Tell people why you like Galactic Renaissance.
Okay. We're just surprised we had played it. That's all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Galactic Renaissance, it's like deck building mashed with area majority and kind of area control, where you're cycling through your deck and you're trying to do it quickly because one of your cards in your deck will score based on the scoring objectives that are set up for the game. And the other cards help you kind of explore new planets and maneuver your emissaries to new spots and gain majority and kind of set up camp and that kind of thing, and maybe kick out others and cause these conflicts and things like that. So it's interesting to me because it does a few unique things. The deck cycling part is something I've never seen where you can gain these super powerful cards and extra cards into your deck and play them out, and they'll grant you these really powerful abilities, but you also want to cycle through your deck as quickly as possible to keep triggering the scoring because it's a race to 30 points. And the objectives are unique because they're different every game. There's kind of a small deck of them, and you only play with 5 of them each game. And sometimes they'll be like, you want to be in the minority in each as many planets as possible. You don't want to be in majority, and you'll score points if you're in minority. So then you only want to have one person there, but the risk of having one person is if somebody starts a conflict there, then you can easily get kicked out. And other times you want to be in the majority, or you want to be tied with people, or you want to be on planets that are easily accessible by portals. So I think it's surprisingly, if people are big fans of Inish, which is from the same creative team as Galactic Renaissance, there are some similarities there. It's going to be more polarizing. Some people that I've played it with or that I've heard talk about it are like, I'd rather just play Inish. But other people, maybe if they didn't like Inish or they're more open, find that they enjoy Galactic Renaissance as well. I think it's a game that rewards repeat plays because there's some weird stuff going on. The first time you play it, you're like, how do I set myself up to score when my scoring card comes out? And you start to see it easier and get away with these bigger plays as you play it more often. So it's a big box Matago area control game, Galactic Renaissance.
Yeah, I think we had that same impression too. We were like, what's going on in the first few turns of the game? And then you're like, okay, it's coming together. But it's so different from a lot of other games we've played. Yeah. What about you, Shu?
I'll pick, I'm going to say a couple real quick. I'll run through them real quick because we've talked about them on the show before. Rising Sun from Simon, and then also Wonderland's War from Druid City. I really like them both, but they are, if I have one criticism, it's the same criticism. That's why I'm mentioning both in the same breath. It's like they're very long. They're very long games. Like I kind of wish like I could shave about an hour off of each one and they would be fantastic. But Rising Sun, basically, you're controlling, it's like a big miniatures-based game, but it's not really a war game so much. It's just, hey, you're going to get some cards, you're going to activate a power, you're going to get a stack of powers, and you're going to like, this time I'm going to go buy stuff, or this time I'm going to move stuff. And so it's very simple. And then you might have temporary teammates people that you have alliances with. And then you're like, I'm going to go into this area. And then you might have cards that bring in awesome monsters or cards that make your existing soldiers stronger and things like that. So there's just a lot to this game. It's been around, so I won't get too much into it. People probably heard of this one. But it's just really neat to be able to, I'm just doing this one power, and that one power has to be very meaningful because you only do this so many times in a game. And then again, you could bring in like, okay, now I have this giant dragon that's worth 5 power, and it's like super powerful. But then if someone takes it out, there's a lot of clever ways around combat. Then you might be screwed and you have to bring it back in at a later date. And you can play this game also very peacefully, from a docile position and still win as well. Wonderland's War is a bag building game. What's the nickname? Like Battle Quacks?
Battle Quacks.
Because it's like Quacks of Quedlinburg, which is a very famous bag building game, but it's more direct conflict. So it's Alice in Wonderland themed, and then you're drawing tokens out of a bag, so you don't know what you're going to get exactly. But like a deck building game or a dice building game, you put in better and better chips into your bag so that you draw better chips as they come out. And so the first rounds of the game, you're like drafting cards that might give you extra powers, extra resources, and then units, better tokens to put into your bag. And then the tokens may have different powers, different artifacts that are also tokens that give you unique powers. And then you're just trying to get area control over different parts of the Wonderland. So really beautiful game as well. Really slick looking. So, yeah.
It's because not really control yet. I mean, you're just setting it up as like, these are the number of lives I have essentially, so that I could keep pushing my luck when we're doing the fighting. And
the second phase is like, now all the people that you put into these areas, now they'll fight, and then you're drawing again tokens from the bag to see what they do, and then whoever survives will get those points from that location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cool twist.
Yep.
I think a couple things for me, I guess the ones that come up a lot would be whenever people, some people who don't play as many games as we do, they're like, oh, growing up, I really liked Risk. My thing that I always tell them is like, well, just play Small World. It's like a better Risk. so for me, that's sort of a big thing I always talk about for Small World, instead of just like, I have an army and I'm just taking over different regions. This world is too small, and we have our own different factions that have their own special powers that combine in different ways. And it's a classic been around a long time. Shu, if you ever come to our house, we'll show you our amazing collector designer edition version of this game.
Yeah, it's like a $450 version.
Yeah, it's really nice. But it's just so much more fun because there's an added element of timing when you set your race to decline, so you bring in a new one. It's more strategic and a lot more exciting for me than Risk.
Well, the best part is like you have different combinations of different races, like elves or vampires or whatever, with an attribute. Like maybe you can have vampire, I forgot all of it, but like burrowers, or you can have troll builders and stuff like that. So depending on which two get mixed, so you pick the left side and right side, combine these tokens.
It's very different every
now
time.
you get to spread out your armies, but with that specific characteristic. So game to game, the vampires in one game might be completely different in another game, for example. So super cool game. Yeah.
And then I think some games that I like too have the area control as sort of like a sidebar that's still important, but it's not like the main thing. And a couple games that came to mind for that one were I really like Beyond the Sun, where it's sort of like developing up your technology, but there is also a planet board that's also important as one of the ways that you can score points and objectives and things. And I also was thinking about Ginkgopolis, an older game where you're building out the city both vertically and laterally, but then at the same time, at the end, which ones that you claim matter because you're trying for majorities within certain regions and stuff too. So that adds an extra element for how you're designing which buildings that you decide to build out. So those are a couple, it's still important, but it's not like the main game that I still really like.
Yeah, that is cool.
We're running out of time because we have another topic. But
so many games.
Nick, do you have a couple of quick ones you want to throw out there, ones that people should check out?
Ooh, other area majority games?
Yeah.
Oh, another one that came to mind was Arcs. That's been all the hotness this year.
I know.
So I mean it's surprisingly one of Cole Worley's more approachable games. He tends to make meaty games that are best played with the same group who can handle a 30 to 45 minute rules explanation, and then their first play just stumbling through and pulling levers and figuring out what the heck's going on. But I like Arcs because it's so unique. It's like trick taking meshed with a epic space opera, game with combat and area control and stuff. So that's really cool. Another one that comes to mind that's a little harder to track down, but you can get it sometimes from Amazon Japan, is Rumble Nation.
Yes, I was going to say that too.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Because you guys, sounds like you guys prefer the shorter games, which I'm with you. I like long media area control games, but they're hard to get to the table.
Yeah.
I play them like once a year now, if I'm lucky. But Rumble Nation is like a filler game where it's been too long since I played, but I know you're rolling dice and you're deciding how to assign them out.
Yes. So there's a strategy on how to group them, which is the number of units and then a different region. But the big fun part is after all the units are out, then all the battles happen in a set order that was randomized. But if you win in a region, you get to reinforce your adjacent regions, which is like winding up a spring and hoping it'll go your way. And you just like let all the battles pop off and you see how well you did, basically. So it's super fun and super quick. Any last ones for you, Kyle?
No, you guys have played more games than I have, and so I'm being selfish, and I'm like, ooh, Rumble Nation, I will take that and write it down.
So good. So good. It's the game that I make everybody play at conventions, so.
Yeah, I really want to try it.
And we want to get to your topic, too. What was your topic, Nick?
Yes, so it is Lines... Trilogies and brands. Oh my! Sorry, I was driving all the way back from California today. So from your base, actually Carlsbad. I don't know if that's close.
Oh, that's pretty far north, I think.
No, it's not. It's
south. No, never mind. I don't know my geography.
It's not that far from us.
Oh, okay, cool. Legoland. So
yes.
That's
there. That is pretty close. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So. This topic is kind of interesting, especially to us here at Bitewing, because the thing about being a publisher is you're not really thinking about what's releasing as much right now. Like poor Robert, the designer of Moonrollers, he's got Bebop and Shuffle and Swing coming out soon, but usually my mind is like 1 or 2 years ahead what's coming out then, because that's what we're working on with the artwork and the development and the marketing plan and things like that. And so one thing that has stood out to me is there are some publishers that are very good at establishing a strong line or a strong brand and building an audience for these games, and then, tempting these fans to keep coming back for the next game in the line. One line that stands out to me is from Facade Games. They're one of our publishing friends from Ohio. And they make the Dark Cities line of games that come in these faux book boxes, these fake book boxes, that are social deduction style games that always play. I think the range is like 1 to 9 players. It's very consistent. They play 1 to 9 players. They fit in the same size box, and they feature a mix of a little bit of strategic decision making with social deduction. And the thing that stood out to me is like, well, I always look at publishers who are killing it, and like have this huge fan base, and it's like, okay, what are they doing to build their audience and attract fans to their style of games and things like that. And they're very consistent in what they do. And their Dark Cities line ranges from, we're making movies in Hollywood in the 1930s or something like that, and there are communists among us who are trying to seed our movies with communism. That's Hollywood 19 something, I forget the year.
47
or 1947, yes.
Wow, you remembered that.
And that's one of their newer ones, yes. One of their more famous ones is Salem. I don't remember the year of that. Tortuga is another one. Salem is like the witch trials, and Tortuga is about like being these opposing pirate ships, and who are you loyal to, which country. And anyways, there's this consistency there that really stands out to me, is like, okay, they have fans who love that style of game, and they keep buying every game in that line. And for us, one thing I noticed is I love 2-player games. I play a lot of games with my wife. I'm sure you guys, those couples games where it's easy to get, just 2 people to the table. You don't have to schedule, arrange everybody's schedules together. And one thing I noticed is there are a couple lines of 2-player games out there, like Space Cowboys kind of has a line with like Jaipur and Marabunta more recently, but it's not super strong. Cosmos used to have a really strong 2-player line, Lost Cities being one of, Reiner Knizia card game, and others in that line, but they've kind of died off in doing things very prominently there. Then probably the other more active one is Patchwork, and I forget the publisher's name, but you've got Patchwork and Mandala and Great Plains. Those are all really good 2-player games. I'm sorry I'm not explaining them very well, but they're all like very abstract, roughly 30-minute strategy games for 2 players that aren't too rules heavy. And outside of that, there's not really any 2-player lines of games, and that's kind of what led us to do our last project, the Mythos collection, which features 2-player games of strategy and mythology. So I'll show you. I know a lot of people listen to your audio podcast, so I apologize, but these boxes are roughly the size of Lost Cities, which is a very popular game, so maybe you've seen that size, or Patchwork, okay? And so they're the same size box, and you'll notice on the sides we have like game 1, game 2. You don't need to own or play all the games to understand what's going on. They're each individual games, but the idea is like 2-player strategy games inspired by mythology, and it can be any mythology, but we started out with Greek mythology with our games Ichor and Illiad, both from Reiner Knizia, and they can be from other designers, but we're not there quite yet. But there's this idea of like, okay, let's find an audience with this line of games and really cater to them like really hard. And people who love 2-player games that play in roughly 30 minutes aren't too rules complex, but are strategically satisfying and replayable. And see where this line leads. If it has success, we'll keep supporting it. That kind of thing. But so there's lines, there's trilogies like. You guys already mentioned Rising Sun, right?
Rising Sun, sort of. Yeah,
and that's part of like the Area Control trilogy.
That had the Blood Rage, Rising Sun, and then Ankh,
Yes.
Gods of Egypt.
That's right.
and things like that. And so, yeah, I think there's something to be said for, the hard thing about being a publisher is when you come up with a brand new game, it's like you got to get people excited about it all over again.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's from the same designer that people love, then that helps. Or if it's from the same artist people love, that helps, right? As a publisher, we're all over the map, so it doesn't help as much. But when your favorite game is say Patchwork, and then that same publisher is coming out with another 2-player game that feels similar to Patchwork, or all the Azul games, right? It's easier to get excited and be like, yeah, I want more of this, and let's see what new they bring to the table with these new lines.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Games
I totally agree, because I remember, so for Blood Rage, the first in that trilogy, I liked it so much. I got every piece of content for it, a lot of upgrades for that. Rising Sun was the same thing. I'm like, oh man, I just love the game. So in anticipation, because of how much I like Blood Rage, I went all in. I got the playmat. I'm like, I'm going to get every upgrade that they're offering in the initial Kickstarter. Then when they announced Ankh, it was all of these I went in blind. I'm like, I don't even know how to play Ankh, but it's an auto. What's the top pledge level I can get? And I'm just going to I'll get it automatically. And I haven't been disappointed with any of them. But it's, that's sort of those are all designed by Eric Lang. And it's so they different gameplay mechanics, but you knew the miniatures were going to be beautiful. It's going to have some simple kind of play. Mm-hmm. It's not, they look like war games, but they're not really war games. So you kind of know what you're getting, which is really nice. And then, but I do appreciate what you're doing with the same box sizes.
That's the biggest thing for
I love it when you just showed it.
Sequels, yes.
Yeah, when you just showed it right now, I'm like, that's going to look beautiful on the shelf. But
so excited.
I'm also like, oh man, they numbered it because
yeah, that was evil, huh?
It's kind of evil because right now the Queen Games, the publisher Queen Games, is doing the Stefan Feld collection.
That one.
Stefan Feld.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
as one that I'm not as into how they're doing it personally.
Yeah, they're problems. So they're taking Stefan Feld, famous designer, and taking a lot of his old games.
I love Stefan Feld games.
Yeah, the games are great. They're theming it. It's a city collection. So they're taking his old games, assigning it a city, which will provide the theme and setting and the art for the game, and then redoing it. And then the first set of these were like super high-end deluxe editions, like with game trays and nice tokens and metal coins and all of this stuff, with the sleeve, with like a day version of the box art and a night version of the box art and an Art Deco simple version, right? And all this stuff. So I got into this. I was like, oh, these first 4 games, like it's Hamburg, Amsterdam, New York.
They're fun games.
Marrakesh.
Yeah.
Fantastic games. And then so a few problems. One, there's like 3 or 4 different versions of all of these games. There's like the retail edition, there's a classic edition, there's a deluxe edition, and then there's something in between or something like that. It's like so confusing now because you want your collection to look consistent. And then the other thing is Marrakesh's box is it's like 1.5 times the length of the other one. So it doesn't look right. Like when it just sticks out. So you have like number 1, number 2,
keeps them up at
number
night.
3 sticks way out. And then back to number 4. So
I believe it.
Yeah, it's super annoying, like when the boxes aren't consistent. So I really appreciate what you're doing with your Mythos.
My issue with this game is like the reskinning of everything to these new cities that weren't part of the original game. I cannot keep straight which city is which game. Like it's so it just blends together and it's not distinctive enough for me. So
I Amsterdam and Hamburg. I can't tell you which one's which.
Yeah.
I know I like them both. I remember the gameplay. I just don't remember which one is which.
So I find that problematic. If you're going to do a line, like, yes, you want them to be consistent, but there has to be a reason for the consistency, and they still have to stand out. Like, I can remember the differences of generally of like the games in the Century series or Azul series. Like, I know what they are, but I can't tell you anything about which city is which for the Stefan Feld series. So.
I think it's a really interesting challenge for publishers because if you come across a game that you're like, I want to add this to this line, how do we get it to fit? You know, like this does not have a city theme. How do we give it a city theme as the Stefan Feld City Collection example? Or same thing for us. If we get like an abstract 2-player game pitched to us, then I have to look at it and be like, okay, is there a mythology related theme out there that fits for this game? And I don't want it to feel like we're shoehorning it into the brand if it just doesn't fit. What's interesting is Illiad, when it was pitched to us, this was not the theme of the game. For those who are familiar with the Illiad, one of the oldest stories of the Trojan War, Hector versus Achilles and that kind of thing. This game was originally pitched to us as the Caliph of Cordoba, where these people would attend this party, and the party host, the Caliph, was competing against the Queen of somewhere else, and they were trying to earn the favor of these families. And so that was the original theme of the game, and we wanted to pair this with Ichor, which did have the Greek mythology, gods versus monsters, chess-like theme to it already. And so then I went and looked at, luckily there's lots of mythologies and there's lots of stories out there. So there's a lot of material for us to work with if we're trying to find a theme for a game that doesn't have it yet. Mm-hmm. And with Caliph of Cordoba, what I realized was, okay, you're trying to compete for the favor of these families, but what if you're trying to earn the favor of gods? And the thing about the Iliad and that the Trojan War is that like Zeus might have favored the Trojans at one point while Hera was favoring the Greeks and they were lending them aid. And so luckily we found a good fit for that theme and for this game. And so that worked out. But there are times where there's just like a purely abstract game pitched to us, and I look at it, I'm like, I have no idea how this could have a mythology theme, so it's not going to fit this line, and we feel like there's a threshold that we need to reach of like, it needs to feel like a meaningful theme, and it needs to, match in kind of the gameplay style and the production. Otherwise we're just shoehorning it, and we're going to lose the effectiveness of the line itself and what the fan base we were trying to get with it in the first place. We'll lose their attention if we go too far outside of what we've established. So it's an interesting challenge.
Yeah. It's great that you're being thoughtful about it, because there was a point where I was collecting all the tiny epic games because I just like that form factor, and I like the first couple. So there's a company, Gamelin Games. They did Tiny Epic Kingdoms, which is an area control game, Tiny Epic Defenders, a cooperative game, and then they had Western, and then I'm like, oh, these are all pretty good games. Like nothing I would say was amazing or really crazy. I like Defenders and Galaxy, I think were my favorites. And then I'm like, I like collecting all the boxes because they're all small, consistently sized. But after a while, it did feel like they're kind of cramming a lot of stuff in, and I'm just like, I'm not sure. They're not all consistently good, other than just the box was the main consistency, and they all had the Tiny Epic name to it. So eventually I'm like, I have to stop because like they're not all fantastic games. So Stefan Feld collection too. I'm like, this is going to be too expensive. I'm going to cut myself off and then not get all of them.
Expensive habit there. Yeah.
But it's good that you're, I think, thinking about it very carefully and not just like trying to build out this brand and this line at all costs, because you can really rapidly lose interest if they don't maintain a certain level of quality and consistency.
Yeah, I think there's an element to just letting the games find you instead of trying to force games into a line, and it helps that we have different lines or brands that we can publish games through, and we're already planning to put out a smaller 2-player game that doesn't fit in the Mythos collection, and we'll put that out next year. So, but we have more Mythos games on the way as well. And you mentioned, Shu, that you don't like boxes that are different sizes, but how about this? Let me pitch this to you. What if it's the same size this way, but it's slightly thicker if it's just a bigger game? You don't like that?
It's not the worst. He'll be okay with it. He will
I'll live.
secretly have some issues and like be like, I know who did this. It was Nick and Kyle.
Oh boy. Well, the other thing is you can set it up on the other side, and you don't have to deal with the numbers. Say if you're missing a number in the line,
Yeah.
that's just to let you know. By the way, there, if you have 3 and 4, there are other games in this line, but you don't have to display that on your shelf and be reminded of it. So
I think the same height will be good. So the different thicknesses, that's the least. Yeah, that's
Least offensive. Right?
yeah,
Good.
that's tolerable. Yeah.
well, as long as the game is good. If it
Yeah.
justifies its thickness, I think it'll be worth it.
Stefan Felt Collection has, with Marrakesh specifically, has messed it up so badly that it's like everyone else is going to look good if they're even somewhat consistent.
I don't know how many times I've heard this complaint, but okay.
Well, I'm glad we have a chance now to vent this out in this topic. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us today, Nick and Kyle. We're super excited to be able to back Silos and play it with our friends and stuff. So where can people follow the campaign? And are there any things that you could drop, like things that might be coming for the campaign for us to watch out for?
yeah, actually, you guys, it seems like you're good at keeping secrets up to this point. So do you think you can keep secrets even more secrets for a couple more days?
Yes, we can.
Well,
our audience,
yeah, this is we are recording for the podcast.
It's coming out in a few days, so I think he's thinking it's okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, you're obviously planning to publish this after we reveal the whole campaign. So you guys know about silos, okay? And we've been talking about lines and brands and
Oh.
more specifically trilogies. So this is a trilogy of games called the Cosmic Silos Trilogy. So you have Silos, which is the area majority game that we've discussed. Then you have Ego, which is a space opera. You're traveling through the galaxy, visiting other alien civilizations, and you're making offerings to them and trying not to offend the aliens, but befriend them. So it's kind of an epic auction game. And then there's one more, Orbits, which is a space race game where you're racing to visit the different planets as tourists first. So these are all from Reiner Knizia. And yeah, we have kept these games a secret even from most previewers who we only sent one of the 3 games.
Oh, nice. So all 3 are going to be in this Kickstarter?
Yes, so they are all launching on this Kickstarter, and I sent out like 20 packages to a bunch of previewers back when I was sending yours out, and so most people only got 1 game of the 3 to try, but they're from, Silos is from Kwanchai Moria, he did the artwork for that, and Ego is from the artist of Thunder Road Vendetta, Marie Bergeron. She was awesome to work with. And then Orbit is from Vincent Dutrait, who's done a lot of
some big
Knizia
hitters right
games
there. Yeah,
as well. But
for
it's kind of.
I was just going to
Go
mention
ahead.
for the podcast listeners, obviously definitely go to the Kickstarter to see all this art, but you can see it on our YouTube also. We held up the covers and I was just amazed at the Ego cover. That looked amazing. So very into this.
Yeah, we've got, by the time this episode goes live, there's going to be a big YouTube reveal of Reiner Knizia being the one to reveal that there are 3 games, and then the Kickstarter launches right after, and it's going to be a fire hose of information, the fact that there's 3 big box games that we're putting out at once.
Yeah.
This is a very unique campaign for us, in that so we probably won't do this again because it's not cheap. They're big box games, right? So getting 3 of them at once is but there are good bundle discounts and things like that, and free expansions if you back it and stuff. But these 3 games are kind of like us having a big celebration. It's kind of our Avengers level events where we've brought together, one of our favorite designers, Reiner Knizia, and three amazing games, and then 3 of our favorite artists to work on these games together. So, thematically they're connected. Okay, let me tell you this. We'll tie it back into the topic. Okay, so in the 20th century, the aliens come and they invade Earth, right? And they brainwash the humans and they take over Earth. But they're doing that because they are siloing the humans as their political pawns. And that's why Silos is called Secret Interlopers from Outer Space. And then Ego jumps forward like 1 or 2 centuries to when the humans are spread out across our solar system. So we live on Mars now and Jupiter and such. But we form a coalition, our planets, and build this super ship to go finally visit all these alien civilizations that we've recently discovered. And each planet sends one ambassador, and they're trying to come out on top for their planet and stuff, and establish these political relations with the aliens, and while not offending them. So it's kind of a push your luck auction game. And then Orbit kind of sees the conclusion where now you jump forward in another century, and the aliens who abducted us in the beginning and took over Earth now control. They used us as their political pawns and ego. We joined the Galactic Senate and helped them gain their power, and now they control the galaxy, and they host this decennial event where it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but not as dark. Where basically tourists gather together in the planetary system of these aliens, and they race to visit all of the planets in their system first. And then everybody, the whole galaxy is watching this event, basically. So that's how these 3 games tie to each other thematically, but they're all standalone. As you know, like you played Silos and you didn't feel like
we had no idea.
You didn't feel like it was like 1/3 of a game or anything like that. So you don't have to own or play all these games to appreciate just one of them. But it's kind of just a crazy fun event that we're doing that's very high stakes, I guess, in one sense, because hopefully we get enough backers to make all these, right, in that sense. Yeah. But no, it's been really fun for us to bring these to life. So
it's really
do you have any more questions?
Yeah,
that was a huge reveal. I had no idea.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the Island Forgotten Desert series where they're actually connected storyline wise, and then it's kind of fun to tell people like, by the way, remember that thing we did in the last game, and then now you can see hints of it in this game. So yeah, that's really neat. Yeah.
Follow along for all those things and see which of those big boxes calls out to you. Now I'm excited about all of them. Those are huge artists to match with Reiner Knizia, so very exciting. And we hope everybody enjoyed listening to our show today. Thanks to our amazing editor, Mike Zipkin, and don't forget to check out our trivia show, the Board Game Quiz Show, on YouTube and Facebook. We wrapped up season 5, the content creator season, so you can catch up if you haven't watched it already. We'll also be hosting a live board game quiz show at BGG Con Fall, so you can join us and say hi if you're at the con and compete. Try to win some great board games. Now you can stop listening and go play a game. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.